Did you know that by the time you're 30, you could have spent over $100,000 on rent alone? That's a shocking amount of money to pay without building any equity or wealth for yourself. In this video, we'll explore the truth about rent versus owning versus leasing real estate and reveal some eye-opening facts that might just change your perspective on which option is right for you. From the hidden costs of homeownership to the risks of leasing, we'll cover it all. Stay tuned to learn how you can make the most informed decision and take control of your financial future. First, let's understand the concept of renting real estate. Renting is a popular option for those who want to live in a property without owning it. It's a process that involves signing a lease agreement with the owner or property management company and paying monthly rent for a set period of time. There are various types of rental properties, such as apartments, condos, townhomes, and single-family homes, and each type offers different benefits and drawbacks. One of the main benefits of renting is flexibility. Since rental agreements are usually for a short period of time, renters have the ability to move to a different property or location after their lease term ends. This is particularly advantageous for those who may need to move for work or school, or for those who simply want the freedom to explore new areas. Renting also offers a lower upfront cost compared to owning a property. Renters typically pay a security deposit, which is usually refundable, and the first and last month's rent. This can be a much lower initial investment than the down payment required for purchasing a home. Another advantage of renting is that tenants are not usually responsible for major maintenance and repair costs. Problems with the building, such as those involving the plumbing or electricity, are typically addressed by the landlord or property management company. This can save renters a significant amount of money and hassle, particularly if the issue is a major one. So should you rent a house instead of buying it? Well, renting can be a good option for those who are looking for short-term living arrangements, such as students or those who are relocating for a job. It's also a good choice for those who prioritize mobility and flexibility, as it allows for more freedom to move around and try out new neighborhoods or cities. However, there are some downsides to renting as well. One of the main disadvantages is that tenants have less control over the property than they would if they owned it. This means that they may not be able to make changes to the property without permission from the landlord, such as painting the walls or installing new fixtures. Additionally, rent increases are common in the rental market, which can make it difficult for renters to budget for the long term. Lastly, renting doesn't let you build equity or own an asset, which can hurt your long-term financial growth. If you're looking for a flexible living arrangement with low initial outlays and no desire to take on the financial burden of major repairs, renting may be the way to go. However, it's important to weigh the benefits and drawbacks carefully before making a decision that's right for you. Now let's talk about leasing. Leasing is similar to renting in that it involves paying for the use of a property or piece of equipment without owning it. However, leasing typically involves longer-term agreements and more specific terms than renting. When someone leases real estate, they sign a lease agreement with the owner of the property and make monthly payments for a set period of time. One of the benefits of leasing is flexibility. Like renting, leasing allows for more flexibility than owning a property, as the lease term is usually shorter than a mortgage term. This can be helpful for people who don't want to make long-term commitments or who need to upgrade more often to newer models or homes. For example, a business may choose to lease a commercial property instead of buying it outright, as it allows the business to change locations more easily as it needs change. Another advantage of leasing is that it often has lower upfront costs than purchasing or financing the property. The lessee may only need to provide a down payment, if any, and then make monthly payments for the duration of the lease term. Additionally, leasing can be a good option for those who need a specific type of equipment or vehicle for a short period of time, as leasing can be less expensive than buying outright. However, leasing also has its drawbacks. One of the main disadvantages is the potential for extra fees and charges. These fees can include charges for excessive wear and tear on a leased vehicle, or for early termination of a lease agreement. Additionally, when leasing, the lessee does not own the property, which means they have less control over it and may be restricted in their ability to customize or modify it to suit their needs. Leasing, in the end, does not provide the same advantages as ownership, such as the chance to increase one's personal wealth through the accumulation of asset equity. Leasing is attractive for some because of the low initial investment and greater flexibility it provides, but it may not be the best option for those who are looking to build their wealth over time. The third choice is to own real estate. One definition of real estate ownership is the act of purchasing a piece of property for one's own use or as an investment. In most cases, this entails applying for and subsequently receiving a mortgage loan from a lending institution in order to finance the acquisition of the property. Along with the monthly mortgage payments, an annual payment of property taxes is also required to be made. Increasing one's equity is a primary advantage of being a homeowner and one of the primary benefits of owning real estate. The amount of equity in a property rises with each mortgage payment that is made, which indicates that the homeowner owns a larger percentage of the property as time goes on and the mortgage is paid off. In addition, having ownership of a property grants the owner additional control over the property, including the freedom to make alterations or improvements to the property without being subject to any restrictions. Additionally, if the value of the property rises over the course of time, the owner may be entitled to appreciation as well as profits from the sale of the property. Those who place a high value on consistency and being in charge of their living situation may wish to consider purchasing real estate as an additional option. Homeowners do not need to be concerned about the possibility of having their rent raised or being evicted, giving them the freedom to make decisions regarding their long-term living arrangements as they see fit. However, there are a few drawbacks associated with being a property owner. One of the most significant drawbacks is the high upfront costs that are associated with purchasing a property. Additionally, owning a property requires ongoing maintenance and repair expenses, which can be expensive and time-consuming. Homeowners also have to pay property taxes every year, which can be a big cost in some places. Last but not least, there's always the possibility that the property's value will decrease or that it will be foreclosed upon. If a homeowner is unable to keep up with their mortgage payments, there is a possibility that they will lose their home to the foreclosure process. In addition, the values of properties are subject to shifts and in some instances declines over the course of time. This can lead to a reduction in equity or even a negative equity position. If you're still unsure of whether you should buy, lease, or rent, we've compiled a list of 7 questions to help you make up your mind. Number 1. What is your financial situation? Number 2. How long do you plan to stay in the area? Number 3. How important is flexibility to you? Number 4. How much control do you want over the property? Number 5. How much are you willing to spend on maintenance and repairs? Number 6. Are you comfortable taking on debt? And number 7. What are your long-term financial goals? When comparing these aspects against one another, it is essential to take into account the specific of one's life and the things that are most important to them. For instance, an individual who places a higher priority on mobility and adaptability may favor renting or leasing, whereas an individual who places a higher priority on stability and investment for the long term may favor purchasing real estate. It is also essential to take into account the local real estate market because aspects such as the demands for rentals, interest rates, and housing prices can have an effect on the monetary and logistical considerations associated with each choice. In the end, it's up to the individual to weigh these considerations and their own situation in making the choice of whether to rent, lease, or buy a home. When trying to determine which choice is best, it might be beneficial to discuss the matter with a real estate professional or a financial advisor.